Welcome back to the One Tree Hill Rewatch here on the Filmaholic channel. Today we're going to be talking about two episodes in Season 5 of One Tree Hill, the first being 510, Running to Stand Still. This episode was directed by Clark Mathis. It was the first of 3 episodes that he did, including the Season 7 premiere, which is an odd choice for me. I don't know why Greg Prange or Mark Schwann didn't direct the Season 7 premiere, but it looks like he did. He does a good job with this episode. But it originally aired March 4th, 2008, and was written by William H. Brown, who we know has wrote several episodes so far in the series and will continue to write a few more. The episode starts where the last episode, 9, left off, kind of. Haley returning from the game to see coming home to Nathan, and she finds Carrie has snuck into the shower. She throws Carrie out. Obviously, Carrie's fired in this episode, reveals that she loves Nathan, thinks that Nathan loves her as well. This whole season from the beginning with Nathan's accident has been leading to something going on with Haley. They've been having issues, and now it's come to a head with this Carrie stuff, and it will continue for the next few episodes until we get to the 100th episode where they realize they need to fix things, and then we get past that and they start going to counseling. But that carries over this whole episode of the whole Carrie situation, her coming back, trying to start more stuff with Haley, bringing up the kiss, which Nathan still hasn't told Haley about, and then obviously he does at the end of the episode, which I'll get to that in just a second. But the overall main thing about this episode is Dan's parole hearing. It's been about 5 years now, and with how he his stuff went in as far as second degree murder, and he's did good time and everything. He's up for parole. I don't really know how realistic that is, but in terms of the show and in my opinion, I'm glad that he was able to get out of prison. Obviously he does, but Lucas and Nathan go to the parole hearing, and Lucas is obviously there to try to stop him from being released from prison. He goes and gives this long speech with some information being not even true, given how Dan did try to be a part of Lucas's life and all of this. And obviously Lucas is wording it so he's trying to get to where Dan doesn't get out of prison. But it's brought up in this episode something that Lucas didn't know, and that's that Nathan went to visit Dan, which looks good for Dan, that his son might need him, which ultimately there's a lot of people in prison, so they end up letting Dan out. It doesn't let you know this in the episode. It kind of leaves it open at the end of whether or not he does get out or not, but he also gives a speech about trying to repair things with his kids, and spend every moment that he has left doing what he can for them, to the parole people at the hearing. It also has Brooke and Owen in this episode. It focuses on their relationship and sends them to New York. We see Brooke's apartment in New York, and Rachel is actually staying there. She somehow, broke in and has overdosed in the episode. So we're dealing with that in the episode. We find out that Owen himself used to be an addict. That's how he knows how to save Rachel. Her dealer comes by, and Owen scares him off before Owen actually leaves, and flies back by himself to Tree Hill, and gives this name of a rehab place that he went to that Brooke needs to take Rachel to. But by the end of the episode, when Rachel does wake up, she pretty much says, I can't do this without you. I can't go to rehab. I need you to stay here and help me. But Brooke obviously is not going to stay in New York, so she brings her back to Tree Hill, and is going to let her stay with her. John Knight, the creepy dude from LA where Peyton worked, he comes back in this episode. He comes to Tree Hill to actually, he's interested in Mia, and he's trying to get Mia away from Peyton and kind of steal her for his own benefit, which Mia and Peyton end up working out a deal. So they trick John into working this deal out with them that benefits them, and they get to still make Mia's album, work together. Mia owns all of her music, but Sire Records puts it out, which is awesome for them. And then obviously, like I said, we get back to the end of the episode where Jamie falls in the pool after Nathan and Haley are arguing over Carrie and everything that's going on in their marriage. They rush out there, they save Jamie, but then Haley reveals that she wants a divorce. And that's the end of that episode, which leads us into the next episode, which is 511, You're Going to Need Someone on Your Side. Originally aired March 11th, 2008. Was directed by Michael J. Leone. First of 4 episodes that he directed throughout through season 8 was written by Zachary Haynes, who only wrote this episode. It was a one and done. This is the 99th episode of the series, and it mainly focuses on, or the backdrop of this episode is the Lucas and Lindsay, their bachelor party and bachelorette party. It's kind of like a co-party. Nathan and Haley were not speaking in this episode. Nathan is staying with Lucas. So they have it at the Naley house, but they arrange it so they don't know anything about it because they're trying to like help that marriage and make them talk and everything, which doesn't work out in the episode. They end up talking, but it's not like anything good. We have to wait another episode before we get to that. Jamie's upset in the episode because he really just wants them to be a family again, and they're not doing that. Skills is aware of that and has a conversation with Haley about it. And obviously, Lindsay's still upset about the Peyton stuff that's happening. And to the side of that, Brooke is obviously coming to this party with Owen, who's brought a friend for Peyton, who turns out to be Chase. This is the first time we've seen Chase again since season 4. Still boring, just like he was in the 4th season. But I do like him better in this season than in season 4, but still boring and nothing really about his character. He's just there. We don't even really know. He says something in a later episode about carpets. I feel like he just has like a some sort of job like that. But it's not important. Obviously, he does some stuff later on. We'll get to that in season 6, but not a very interesting character, I don't think. But he goes on this date with Peyton, and he kisses her to make Lucas jealous. She kisses him to make Brooke jealous. It really seems like in this season, I'll get to that later when we get to the other episode when he comes back, it's like they don't really know who they want to have Brooke with in this season. It seemed like they wanted to do Owen, but I feel like there was something like a contract, some sort of obligation that Joe had in real life, that he couldn't keep coming back to play Owen in a consistent role at this point. So maybe that's why the Owen Brooke thing didn't work out. But they kind of tease her and Chase getting back together in this episode and then another episode, but obviously that doesn't happen. I'm glad that doesn't happen. But they also bring that doctor in and later this season that kind of like hints at some sort of romantic storyline with them, with how much she's like around, just like kind of hovering there. But yeah. Obviously Rachel's back in Tree Hill in this episode. She's staying with Brooke and Peyton. And she has scenes with Mouth. The first time seems like they've seen each other since high school, which makes Millicent jealous, because Millicent's been around Rachel during these past 4 years, and seeing what kind of person she is. So that obviously doesn't make her feel good when Mouth is spending time with Rachel. Obviously, he doesn't actually spend that much time with her. He goes over there and it seems like he's there like 20 minutes and leaves, because she tries to make moves on him and it's weird. And she's getting messages from like her friends to come party at South Beach or whatever. Like, I don't even know. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but this is her. She's only in these 2 episodes, 510 and 511. And then she does come back. I won't get into that right now, but she ends up stealing the money because Peyton actually has some money to give to Brooke to pay her back for her help getting this record label started. And she has that money at the house and leaves it around Rachel. Victoria comes. This is a big episode for Victoria too, because she comes and she starts shit with Rachel, and pretty much provokes Rachel into taking the money and leaving, because she tells Rachel, you're not strong enough to beat this. Stop wasting Brooke's time. Stop making all of these people go through your problems. Just give up, essentially. which Brooke finds this out later, and she's had it up, with Victoria. Everyone keeps telling her she needs to stand up to Victoria, and she keeps not doing it because it's her mother, and she wants her mother to be a part of her life desperately. She really wants a family in general, but she finally stands up to Victoria in this episode after the Rachel situation, and everything else has led up to that, and she fires Victoria. And this is the last time that we see Victoria in season 5, but obviously she comes back as well. But I thought that was a really good moment, really good scene, well acted from Sophia Bush, but really important for the Brooke character as well, making that stand against Victoria. And the other thing that happens in this episode is Dan gets out of prison. He gets out in this episode, which I really like certain, that they did pay attention to details, because I'm always worried about they're not going to pay attention to details and it's going to bother me. So like the shot with him getting out, and the gate opening and closing behind him, he actually is wearing the same clothes that he wore when he turned himself in season 4. So I'm glad they didn't mess up on that. I'm glad they kept that all the same. And he buys a basketball for Jamie, which we don't ever actually see him give that basketball to Jamie. I don't think, pretty sure that we don't see that ever. But he gets that basketball for Jamie, and he ends up hooking up with the lady who works at that store, which a fun little fact is that lady who he hooks up with in this episode, she's also the lady that slept with Psycho Derek in season 4 that he ended up essentially beating up or whatever. In season 4, she was dressed like Peyton. That's the same lady, and we also see her again in a jail scene in season 7. So she's definitely around Tree Hill. But I like that scene too, after they've slept together, and Dan's last scene in the episode, and he tells her that he just got out of prison, and she's like, "Oh, what for?" And he's like, I killed my brother." She's like, "Oh, did you actually do it?" And he's like, "Yeah." And it's just like you can just see her slowly pull away. Thought that was a great little scene there. But yeah, that's the 99th episode of the show, which leads us into the 100th episode, which I'll talk about in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys, and like this video.